Welcome back, Middle-Aged Grind. And today I want to talk about a subject, Social Security, Medicare, and politics. Now, as far as politics go, we're going to leave out all the stuff going on right now in July of 2024 as you're watching this. I want to, as it particularly pertains to these two programs here, and I'm going to share a book that I got from our local library. So it's an opposing viewpoint series on Social Security. The author is actually book editor is Mitchell Young, and it's this opposing viewpoint series. And I read most of this book. It gets into all different stuff about Social Security. It's worth a read if you want to read, but I'll kind of go over some highlights. And one of the things is this thing was written back in 2009. So I wanted to get kind of what was going on then to now and looked up some facts. I will say this, I went on treasury.gov and they have some very cool interactive graphs and charts on the budget of the United States, debt, all kind of stuff that I was pretty shocked. It was pretty good website. The biggest takeaway, and according to this book, they said Social Security will go away in the year 2037. Well, according to now, we can pay full benefits to 2035. Now, that was 15 years ago, so pretty accurate to me in that regard. A couple of years off, but we're in 2024. And I want to get into some of the basics and what do you need to qualify for Social Security and Medicare, because I was running into this issue here and I want to let you know what I found out. Now, I've been working since, late teens and 20s to where you have a job where you get a W-2 or you're self-employed in my business now and you're paying into this thing, right? And you need 40 quarters, which most people know, to qualify for Social Security and Medicare, okay, which is a big deal too. Now, the reason why I say this, I have all my 40 quarters, of course. I'm 42 years old. My wife, been working since she's a teenager, but some of these little jobs, snowball stand worker and stuff like that, wasn't getting a W-2 kind of thing. So we looked at this last year. She has 33 quarters. Now, I'll say this. My oldest child was born in January of 2010. So we had children in 2010, 2012, 2013, and the end of 2014. They're 14 to 9 years old, my kids right now. So for a 10-year period or so, from 2010 to 2020, my wife did not work outside of the home. Now, I can tell you, the amount of money we save, you know how much I've ever spent on childcare? Nothing, okay? I know that's a big expense for a lot of people. I hear some of the numbers, but people spend a month. It's over $1,000 a month for a child sometimes. We did not spend one dime in childcare because my wife stayed home and raised our kids until they got to school. And as of recently, she does substitute teach at the public school system, and she started to get those credit hours again. She's at 35 as of last Social Security statement. Now, I was under the impression that she had to have 40 for Medicare, but I did read something on the website where it said, as long as your spouse has the 40 quarters, you'll be okay for Medicare too, because here's the breakdown. If you have 40 quarters, which is 10 years of work, you pay $0 for Medicare, just the basic Medicare. I know there's supplements, that's a whole nother video and discussion. 30 to 39 quarters, you pay $278 a month as of 2024. And if you have fewer than 30, the cost is $505 a month. But we've been married for over 15 years now, and I think she'll be okay, but what I didn't see is if something happens to me before that, and she only has 35 quarters and doesn't go back to work, will she qualify? I don't know. I couldn't find the answer to that question. So in order to be safe, what we're going to do is she's going to work at least those next 5 quarters, which is a year and a quarter, to get her 40 to qualify her. Now, from Social Security standpoint, and I've been the breadwinner, and that's okay. That's not a gloating standpoint or anything. But what can happen is the way Social Security works now, your spouse can claim up to 50% of your benefit when you go on Social Security. So, just a quick example: if my benefit is going to be $3,000 a month, she claims she gets $1,500. So as a household, we would take in $4,500 a month in theory. And if something would happen to me before her, she would just get my Social Security, which would be the $3,000, which would be the greater of the two. We've only been married one time, and we're not getting. That's all it's going to be. I know it's different rules for if you've been remarried, that kind of thing. But generally speaking, you can claim yours too. Now, if she'd have been a high earner, she might have had a higher benefit. You can do that. But if this is to create a system for people who have not made as much as their spouses, they can get half of theirs in addition. So, that would be a pretty decent income, so to speak, down the line. But I wanted to go over now, and that's some of the basics. We're going to make sure she gets her 40 quarters for Medicare. To qualify her, we're going to have to pay anything, even though I don't think she would have to anyway. But she'll sub at least for that long. And she'll probably do it longer. I don't know. She doesn't have to, but takes care of the house. And even though the kids are in school, there's a lot of stuff that's involved with raising children. And I have a full-time business, and that's the path we've chosen. A little short story about us. She was working at the post office prior to 2006, and I was working at Chase Bank before I was a State Farm agent. And had we continued down that path, she probably would have did that career and I would have stayed with the bank. But I had an opportunity to be an agent and moved to Oklahoma from Louisiana back in 2006, and we did that, got married. She actually finished her school up there. She went to Cameron University. But it was kind of like part of our plan. Like, we wanted to start a family, and she had a couple of part-time jobs up there before that too. And she finished her degree in business administration at Cameron University up there. And it was kind of like, okay, I was going to take it on a business venture to where I'd hopefully make enough money. We didn't have to have a dual income. And that's how it's worked out per se. And it's been wonderful. I think, women have every opportunity now as men. It's a wonderful thing. I think there's more women in colleges now than men. But to be able to have a single income household, it comes with its struggles. But the benefits of being home to raise your children, I think it's immeasurable, guys. And I really think it's been a good thing for us. Now, getting into some of the politics of Social Security and Medicare, it will be, and this is said by many other people, I don't know what's going to happen between now and 2035. I will say this, it will be rectified by then, because to say this would be political suicide for whichever party's in there in power, or if it's a Democrat president and a Republican House and a Democrat Senate, or flip all those things around, guys, no matter what it is. If Social Security were to get cut even, not even taken away, but by 15%, like they're saying, there would be riots. There would be, people would lose their mind. And that's not, because look, I'm totally against violence and everything, but it's not going to happen. They're going to rectify this when it gets in the 11th hour, like they do everything else. Reading this book and going on other websites and looking at different things with Social Security, there are innumerable ways to fix this. I don't know what they'll be, probably be extending the age of retirement, maybe full retirement, especially for younger folks like me. I don't think they're going to change anything for people who are on it, benefit wise or age. That's political suicide. Someone like me, who, let's say, even in 10 years, I'll be 52. God willing, I'm still here. I'm still going to be at least 10 years away from taking anything. I think they're going to raise that, and I'm okay with that. We're living longer. There's a cap on the wages they collect for high income. They could raise that. They could do so many different things to make it last longer, and they will. I don't think we need to burden ourselves with worrying about that. I did look at some interesting statistics. So, as most people know, Social Security is a pay-as-you-go. So this is not something, when you're talking about the almost $35 trillion in debt we're in as a nation, this is nothing to do with Social Security. It's not in debt right now. It is funded by our payroll taxes, okay? So people who are working right now are paying for everybody who's on it, okay? It's not in debt or anything. It's just the projections are in about 10 or 11 years, there are going to be more people taking out than people putting in. That's a projection. That's why changes will have to be made. It is not touched by our general fund, but this was interesting to me. In the breakdown of our national spending, Social Security, as of 2024, you can go on treasury.gov, is the number one expenditure of our budget, which I was surprised. Now, like I'm saying, doesn't come out of our regular taxes or borrowing or anything. It's self-funded. But it is 22% of the budget right now, which was interesting to me. Now, the total spending looks like, from what I've on the website, what I got, we're going to spend $6.13 trillion this year. And we are going in debt. We're not taking in that much in as taxes, so that's a whole other issue, guys. But my point is, even if they had to dip into the government to fix this, which I don't think they will, I think they're going to kind of internally fix it. It's kind of dropping the bucket on the money that we're already spending, right? And for better or for worse, this was put in 1935, Social Security. It is the number one reason why senior citizens are not in poverty. No doubt about it. And were you ever watching this show in the world, or I should say in America, because it's an American thing, you know people on Social Security, and you know people that's basically their only source of income, okay? And if you didn't have this, we would have a nation in upheaval. It's going to be rectified. If you're young like me, per se, okay, do what you're doing when you're personal retirement planning. Don't treat this as your sole source of it. If it's there, great. I think it will be there. In my heart of hearts, I know it's going to be there. It might be a little bit different than it is now, than some of those projections we're getting on what we're going to get. It will be there, but don't fret on it. Make sure you get your 40 quarters, to participate, especially for Medicare, which is a totally different program. But, that's just, they're not going anywhere, guys. It's going to be okay. These guys, these politicians, they're going to figure it out. If one thing's true at the end of the day, they're they worried about their own hides. And if this would somehow falter, I think everybody would be voted out and new people would put in and fix it. So it's not gonna go away. I know this one's kind of long, but and like I say, I'm gonna continue to share some of these. I wanted to kind of learn a little bit. Like I say, go to treasury.gov website and look at some of those stuff. It's just interesting on how much we spend on national defense and Social Security, Medicare, all those things. But make sure you're putting in the system, guys. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And one day, you'll get these benefits. And with that said, I'll see you next time on the Middle Age Grind.